We're with Rollo Radford of the Siegel Schwall Band. Rollo, thank you very much for a wonderful evening last night and for joining us here this afternoon. I'd like to ask you, you started off your career very young, and I'd like you to tell me just a little bit about how you got into the blues music and music in general.
Well, my father was a musician, and he played all around in the bars in Chicago, and he played with everybody around in the city. And he even played with people like Billie Holiday and Anita O'Day and stuff. When they would come to town, sometimes he would play with them. And he would always have musicians at the house, and they would come to rehearse, or when they come to town, they come to the house and rehearse, and then they go and play their music jobs. And so he played keyboards, he played vibraharp, he played drums, and he played bass, and he had all these old instruments laying around the house. But his latest one was the keyboard. He even made a keyboard himself he took old parts of a piano and took it and he put rubber bands in it and all kinds of stuff and made an organ out of it. And used to play music jobs with this thing. And he was an amazing person. And so from having those instruments around the house, I don't know why I gravitated to bass, but they had me take piano lessons when I was real little. And I couldn't get the hang of it because I had to play with both hands, and I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to learn to play with one hand, and they said, no, that won't work. So piano wasn't for me. And for some reason, when I was about 14, I picked up the bass violin, and, he had an old one laying around the house, and so I used to just practice with this thing. I'd come in from school and maybe do my homework, and I would just practice into the night and go eat my dinner or something and go play some more. I'd put on a record, an Ahmed Jamal record and something, and listen to Israel Crosby or somebody, and I would try to play like they played on there. And I taught myself how to play. And that's how I kind of started. I got in the band in high school, and I almost got in the band, I would say. I wanted to play in the band, and they had 4 bass players and 3 basses. And mine had gotten damaged at home. I had knocked it over. I was playing and broke it into a lot of pieces. And so I didn't have one to play on anymore. And so they didn't have enough basses for me to play. And so they gave me a bass drum stick and said, okay, you got to play bass drum in the band. And somebody broke in my locker and stole that, so it just didn't work. And when I got a job working in a department store when I was old enough. I was about to graduate from high school, around the time that I graduated. And my first job, I said, I'm going to buy me a bass. And I bought an Ampeg baby bass, I'll never forget. And because I could play rock and roll jobs and play jazz, I wanted something that I could play both with, because this is the only bass I'm going to have. And that was what I started with.
Rollo, can you tell me a little bit about your involvement with the Chamber Blues Project?
With the Chamber Blues Project? Okay, I had known Corky, and we had played together and made all those records in the 70s together. And I had put together this Chamber Blues group, and I had heard, about what he was doing and the kind of stuff that he was doing. And he wanted me to sort of just do a little, every now and then do a guest spot or something like that. I don't know why he never added a bass violin. Well, for a while I think he did have a bass violin player that played the bass violin. But why he didn't have one and keep it in there, I didn't know why. And so, as it turned out, I would just kind of just come in every now and then and just, sort of jam with him. Sometimes I'd use my bass, or sometimes I would just come and sing. And he asked me to do that. And so I did do that with the Chamber Blues.
Right. Rollo, tell me, what is one or two of your favorite lines from the Siegel Schwall library? Lyrics from a couple of the tunes. What are one of your or two of your favorite lyrics?
Oh, I don't know whether I have any favorite lyrics because, excuse me, Most of the time, I'm trying to remember what they are. So I don't even know. Sometimes I get lost in the middle of the song and I have to make up some lyrics or something. So to be honest with you, I mean, I'd be lucky if I could remember some lyrics to make the song correct or anything.
You seem to remember all the lyrics in Long Distance Call last night.
Oh, did I? I would never. I always feel self-conscious. I mean, it's a great song. It's such a great song, and it's done by Muddy Waters. I mean, I know I could never do it as well as Muddy. I mean, I have to just formulate some other kind of way where I could navigate through the song, and so I just do the best that I can. And just hope for the best. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Beautiful. Well, Rollo, thank you very much for a wonderful evening last night. And again, I thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.